hello, everyone, and thank you so much. Welcome to Dr. Judy WTF. I'm Dr. Judy, and this is a call-in show, everyone. So please feel free to call in. I know that there are people that are going to be asking questions in the chat room, and I'm totally willing to answer those questions. However, I gotta say, I really like when people call in because then we can get into the meat of the matter and detail it out and use you as a live example of the process. And the process that I'm referring to is the process that I've been using for several years, actually over a decade now, called the mind map system. And the mind map system is a pathway to healing, and it is a pathway of tracking childhood wounds, how we react to them, how we negatively encode them. I'm talking about negative core beliefs and how it breaks us down into chaos defenses and eventually total breakdowns. So the mind map's purpose, of course, is to morph you out of all of the mess that I just described and paradigm shift you into the last three panels, which is the paradigm shift and then the healing and the unity. So let's get into it. The topic today is the loss of the relationship that you are grieving is the part of yourself that you are craving. So, why do people stick in a relationship? That's what we're going to get into today. And there's a piece of, I don't know anybody who hasn't grieved the loss of a relationship. You have to be really lucky to get it right the first round. And then, you know, even, even though we're talking mostly about romantic relationships, there are other types of relationships that we grieve, friendships and so on and so forth, death of loved ones. But actually, it all boils back down to us. What is our experience and what is the hole in our soul that we are craving that the relationship gave us? Or maybe gave us in little spurts and maybe created a desire within us that is still yet to be fulfilled. So we want to look at why is it that we are grieving so hard the relationship, even when the relationship has been gone for months or even years or even decades. And I thought about this topic as a way to describe our internal cravings. What do we crave from life? What do we crave from ourselves? What is it that the relationship instigated in us that leaves us wanting for more? What are we pining for? Okay, so is there anybody in the chat room that has any questions so far so that we can start looking into this process of relationships and their meaningfulness? And when they leave, why is it that we are grieving them so hard? Because if they're leaving us, then they don't want to be there, and we're kind of wasting our time and energy missing them because certainly if they were bold enough to leave, right, then they don't deserve our energy and our tears. So, any questions so far in the chat room?
In fact, there is one, and it says, "Hi, Dr. Judy. What does it actually mean that the part I'm craving is a part of myself? How do I recognize that part?"
Okay, so if you have a desire for being loved, let's say, okay, that's pretty basic. We all have a desire to be loved. So when we're in a relationship, primarily with our parents, um, the negative core beliefs that I'm talking about, which is panel three, creates lack of self-love. How does that happen? Well, let me describe. So, panel one are the wounds of childhood. Either we're neglected, or we're physically abused, or sexually abused, or we're name called, or we have narcissistic parents who put their needs before us, or we're controlled and smothered. And so, this lack of connection, this disconnect, the human disconnect that I'm referring to, causes reactions in us. And now we're moving over to panel number two, which is the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn panel, our amygdala. You see, we're kind of cracking up metaphorically like cracked glass. And then panel 3 inflicts upon us these horrible psychoviruses, I like to call them. Viruses that stay in our head and churn around in our head. Viruses that sound like, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I shouldn't have been born, is one of the worst ones that I've ever heard in my therapeutic room. Okay, so what does that do? It creates a lack of self love. And so when somebody pairs up with someone relationally, then oftentimes the bar is really, really low. And if they give them a little something, a little love, a little attention, a little bit of positive regard, then they're getting those molecules of love that are filling them on a very low level, leaving them craving for more. But what's really missing here is the lack of self love. Because if you're staying in a relationship that's giving you molecules of love and love bombing you, as we like to say in the profession of narcissistic abuse, then you've already been trained to accept so little and your bar is so low. And so when that relationship leaves, you're grieving that person, but what you're really craving is not necessarily the person because they were just giving you a low level of what you really want, which is love. Okay? So they may have given you a little here and there, but definitely not the full menu. So to answer your question, like what is really going on here is lack of self-love, because if you would have picked up on the cues and clues that this person wasn't really all in or just a very minimal version of true needs, then number one, you would have recognized that had you been well fed from the beginning from your family of origin, because then it would have been glaringly obvious to you that whatever you were getting from that person is not really all that great. It's just like barely the minimum, if that, and maybe even below the bar and abusive. But if you're getting something and from your parents you got very little, it's kind of familial and familiar. And if those of you who don't know, for those of you who don't know the mind map system, I've got tons and tons of YouTube videos out there that you can listen to. Also, you can purchase the Be the Cause Healing Human Disconnect on Amazon.com. They'll ship it to you, I don't know, I forget, 15.95, 16, 17 bucks, something like that. And if you want, I can make sure that you get a free PDF version, although I always think it's nice to have the physical book. Learn the system. Okay, learn the system so that you don't feel left uneducated, psychologically uneducated, and you don't fall vulnerable to people who give you so little and really make you crave so much. And then you're grieving the little that you lost because at least it was something and not nothing. Okay? So this is what I mean by you're grieving the person, but you're really craving the parts of you that that person didn't even fulfill. Okay? So whose job is it to fulfill it? We'll talk about that after I answer the follow-up questions. Yes, please.
This is actually the same person, and it's kind of following up with what you've been talking about. It says, if I'm craving consistency and safety, how do I rebuild those internally instead of chasing them in a new relationship?
That's a great question. Okay, so we don't want to put our hands in any relationship. And if we do put our hands in a relationship, it better be a relationship with somebody with ethics and stability and mental health and so on. I mean, yes, we are somewhat dependent on other people. Of course we are. I'm not going to deny that. But the less mentally fulfilled you are, the bigger the hole in the soul, which is punched in there by those childhood wounds, the more you will compromise, because anything is better than nothing in this kind of semi-void psyche, okay? So what was the question? That how do you avoid hooking up with people that are not going to fulfill on you, or what was the question?
It says, if I'm craving consistency and safety, how do I rebuild those internally instead of chasing them in a new relationship?
Okay, so number one, you build stability by keeping your word to yourself. That's really, really important. If you want to get ahead with yourself, then you have to be constant, consistent, stable. You have to be realistic. You need to feed yourself. And by feed yourself, I mean mind, body, soul. You want to feed your mind with good information and healthy philosophies. You want to feed your body with good, holistic, wholesome, hopefully organic foods that are non-toxic. And then soulfully, you want to connect with, I call it higher power or source or something above yourself, something that um, you feel to be a source for you to, I call it, download from. Okay, so if you believe in God or source energy, then you want to be downloading from that source. You don't want to be downloading from a bottle of vodka, because that's energy too. Okay, that's a spirit too, but it's not necessarily a healthy spirit. So you want to connect yourself, mind, body, soul. That's why they talk so much about mind, body, soul. Mind, body, soul. Well, why is that? Because we're not just a body, we're not just a mind, we're not just a soul, because we're here in human form. So we have to feed our mind and body in order to exist here on the planet. And as a soul, we need to be connected to the right sources in order for us to grow. And one of the things that I really love about the mind map is that I use truth as source. Okay, so they're synonymous: source energy, truth energy, um, some anything that interconnects us, anything that makes us higher and better, a better person, a wiser person, a healthier person. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so sort of like, let me go to panel number 5 for a minute. Panel 5, I'm using as a metaphor now for our individualisms. So if we're a tiny little individualism, let's pick the pink orb to represent that. And let's say we're not very developed and we don't have a lot of sense of self. And then we hook up with the orange orb, which is a lot bigger, or the green one, or the purple one. Then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sucked in by them. And if they're narcissists, they're going to suck out the little that we have. And if they're not narcissists, then they're going to eventually get bored with us because we're not giving too much to them, because we don't have a lot to give. And there's not going to be a lot of light shared between the tiny little circle and a bigger circle. So one is a big vessel and one is a small vessel. And you have a big vessel and a small vessel. There's not a lot of light. There's either an absorption of the little one into the big one, or the little one gets so dependent on the big one that a lot of damage is created, because the big one will feel used maybe, and the little one might feel weakened by the fact that the big one is giving so much and that they're not giving too much at all. And so when it comes to interconnection, which is panel number 7, which we could see on the mind map, see, that's what I mean by interconnected. The interconnection comes when two healthy individual isms come together and they're both fortified, mind, body, soul, and they have something to share. They're not just sucking each other dry, or they're not just codependents or They're not just using or abusing each other. There's a real light in there because they're creating something bigger than themselves. And how do we create something bigger than ourselves? Is we have to download from something bigger than ourselves. And if you're downloading from an impoverished person, not going to get a lot of light. Okay, I hope that makes more sense. Any other questions?
Yeah, we have another question. Again, for the people that are tuning in for the first time, thank you for being here. For people that are here every week, we appreciate you. But we would love to have you call in and speak with Dr. Judy, 323-524-2599. We love your questions, but she would love to talk to you and dive deeper into your questions. So here we go. So if it sounds like this person's dating a lot because it says, I keep dating the same type of people. And what question should I ask myself before going on this date? So I don't know, is that kind of in the topic that we're talking about?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I just want to
Okay,
make sure.
so the first question you should ask is of yourself. Would I want to date me? You know, how am I doing?
Yeah.
Am I adding, am I an addition to somebody, or are they going to have to prop me up? Okay, so we want to invest in ourselves. We want to invest in our health, go to take exercise classes or whatever you want to do. You want to invest in your creativity. You want to invest in, as I said, your spirituality, your nutritional health. So you want to ask yourself, am I doing those things? So, what kind of ism am I? Am I an empty ism? Am I an injured ism? Am I an ism that is so sad and depressed and lacking that I just need a big healthy ism and hope that they'll like me because I'm hot? And that's not going to last very long because there's not a lot of light in that. And and take me under their wings. That's not a good question. Now, if you're asking about the other person, you want to ask the same question. What does this person have to offer? Are they healthy physically? More or less, we're not perfect. Are they healthy mentally? Did they work out their issues? Did they go to therapy? Did they explore their childhood wounds? Or are they projecting their pain all over me? Are they using me for my money or my beauty or my intelligence? Um, um, all kinds of things that you want to ask of the person to make sure that you and that person are creating synergy, which is my favorite word. And what is synergy? Panel 7. 1 plus 1 is greater than 2. Okay? So I wouldn't hook up that quickly. I'd want to really get to know that person intricately, get to know their habits, get to know their philosophies, get to know their friends, their family, how they treat the waiter, waitress, how they treat other people, how they treat money, how they treat their body. Okay, because how they treat themselves is going to be how they treat you, right? If they're angry at themselves, if they don't value the people that help them, then they're not going to really value themselves and you very much. So these are important questions to ask when you are out there dating. And I really don't suggest that you go out there and date until you've got your act together, seriously, because then you're just fishing with kind of like a broken fishing pole, so to speak. That makes sense.
Dr. G, I think this actually, because I know you are really big into this, it sounds like somebody is getting more involved in like meditation and yoga. So this says, Dr. Judy, I'm new to the stuff like yoga and meditation. How can that kind of thing actually help me stop wanting to text my ex and check there's social media all the time?
Look, I'm not a big meditator. I'll say it straight. I don't have a lot of patience, but I do my own, like I'll stare out the window and just look at the trees, or I'll connect with my dogs, or I'll just sit in a peaceful environment, or I got this thing called a panda drum. I have to try it out. My granddaughter really
Ooh, what
loved
is
it because every
that?
time you 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 strike it with one of those little drum sticks,
Hmm.
it emits a beautiful sound. So it doesn't have to be anything formal. I happen to like yoga because I find that I hold a lot of tension in my body, and I just like to leave it on the yoga mat. I take hot 8 yoga because the heat just allows my body to melt a little bit more
Hmm.
and allows me to create more flexibility. I also take Taekwondo, for those of you who don't know, because I have an amazing master who is very disciplined, and I can use that discipline. And I enjoy it. It's good for me. Okay. It's good for me to memorize new skills. It's good for me to grow. It's good for me. So, not only for me, but for anybody that is in my life, whether it be a patient or my children or grandchildren or a friend or a relationship person, doesn't matter. We want to build ourselves up. So we don't want to come from a poverty mentality. We want to come from a fulfilled mentality, because then if you are not fulfilled, which is really what this show is about, is that we're grieving this person who didn't fulfill us, because really what they did was they didn't even fill us. Okay, and what we want is fulfillment, and what they gave us was temporary fulfillment. They filled you up sexually, or they filled you up with food, or they filled you up with fun, or they filled you up with love bombing and little bits and pieces. But fulfillment is a different energy. It's a different light. It is light. Fulfillment is filling the hole in the soul. Okay? So when you grieve a relationship, you're really craving fulfillment. That's really what this show is about, is how to fulfill upon yourself. And how do you fulfill? You've got to really figure out your basic needs. Okay? So one of my basic needs that I've been avoiding for a long time is my basic need for creativity. And so I have been avoiding going back into my artwork, and I had to do a force job on myself and sign up for an art class. And I did that. And then it sort of forced me, or created a space for me to do art every week. And that was good. And then I started doing it a little bit at home, even when I wasn't in the art class. And now I'm doing crazy artwork. It's not like all the time, but a lot more than before. And some crazy unconscious stuff is coming out of me. So yeah, I should show the audience some of it. Let me see if I can. Let me
I would
just
love it. Dr.
oh,
Judy Van Gogh.
yeah, Dr. Judy, go, go, go. Okay, I want to share it with you because this is um, my unconscious speaking. So I want you guys to tell me what you think, okay? So here it is. Here's the first
Oh,
piece.
wow. You
Okay.
good.
That's Dr. Judy either being creative or going psychotic. You
Go to
decide.
your right
Wait,
just a little
wait,
bit. To,
wait.
to right.
That way?
There we go. That's
So that's
beautiful.
it.
That's really good.
Thank you. So that's watercolor and scribbles. And I scribbled so much that eventually I found images, and then I elaborated on the images, and that's what I created. Okay. So that's one. And then I did another one as of late. They're getting crazier. Maybe I'm getting crazier. Who knows? Um, but I'm showing you this for inspiration. Like that was me just saying, I don't want to draw. I don't want to, and then just like dirtying up the page and thinking, ooh, look at that. There's a cool face in there. Or look at that. I really like the way this color goes with that color. I'm trying to find my other painting, not being very.
Mamu in the chat room says brilliant art.
Oh, that's really kind. Thank you very, very, very much. Appreciate that. Oh, here's my next crazy one. Dr. Judy going more psychotic.
Go
There,
back the
wait.
other way. There. What is that? Is that a duck or a chimpanzee or a gorilla? I
I
can't.
don't know. It's sort of like whatever you want it to be,
It's
you
yeah,
know?
because I can see several different things in that. Wow.
And that's the point, is that you get lost in it. So, I see a snake, I see a pig, I see a lady's face, I see a bat, I see all kinds of things, okay? And that's the point. Get lost in it. So, why am I bringing this up? Because I was craving creativity. So, I could have said, oh, I'm going to find an artistic kind of person
Hmm.
and latch on to that person. And then if they leave me, then I'm sad. Oh, there goes my artistic person. But I want to be the artistic person. I want to build a sense of self that's solid, that's dependable, that a peaceful place within myself, or a creative place within myself that I can go, so that I don't have to depend on other people. And if they choose to exit stage left the relationship, well, okay, very sad. But if they don't want to be with me or be around me or whatever they choose, then my artistry is not out the window, or my creativity is not out the window, or my sense of love is not out the window. Okay? We don't want people to have that much power over us. No way. No way.
Can this is actually a question, and it kind of I'm curious because we're talking about meditation, art, something that you can do for yourself. This person was asking Dr. Judy, I'm trying to make new friends while dealing with this breakup. What are the best ways to do it and actually help me feel supported? How do you not put the responsibility from intimate relationship to a friendship relationship and make it healthy also?
Right. So when you're coming out of a relationship, it's easy to want to lean on your friends too heavily
Right.
because you're crying and you're lonely, and you feel uncontained and all of that. So I wouldn't lean too hard on any one person, because they're going to get sick of it after a while and they're going to feel overburdened. So I would just spread it out a little bit and get some support from different people if you can, and not overwhelm them too much, and respect their boundaries if they have them. And in terms of making friends, friends are really, really, I'm experiencing this. It's really difficult to make friends, because I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe that's why I'm doing this work, is because I want friends that believe in synergy. I want friends that are interconnected. I want friends that are empathic. I want friends that are solid and supportive and healthy. And how many people are like that? Not that many. So um, I would get yourself in the best shape possible, and then people will want to be around you. So a new friend that I made, and this is rare for me, is I think I made a new friend. We'll see over time, right? Don't want to judge too soon, but I met a very nice person in my yoga class. As a matter of fact, he was the yoga instructor, and
Hmm.
I really enjoyed his sweet and comforting and intelligent. And so I started talking to this person, and we've had a couple of good conversations, and that's a good start. Whether it's going to be a friend for life, who knows? But it doesn't matter. It was good energy. It was a good connection. Okay, so I would go for people that are on the healthier scale. I myself keep away from people who are into substances. I just feel disconnected from them because they're really vibrating on a different level. So if somebody is drinking too much or smoking, or I honestly, that's me. I don't want to be around them. It's just not for me. But you decide, right? You decide who's for you. You decide how you want to be. And speaking of smoking, I'm going to show you something else that I created because I have a craving for creativity, and you will soon be happy recipients of this one. Hold on, not quite finished with the project, but I think it'll be an amazing outcome here. I'm showing you this. Uh, Here. This is a project that I'm very passionate about. Let's see.
Kick it. Oh, that's new?
Yeah, that's new. That's my upcoming book. I'm promoting it now. Okay. Kick it,
Nice.
stop smoking, cold turkey or gradual withdrawal, and be the cause of better outcomes for your life. That's the point. So, this is a deep dive into why you smoke and the hole in the soul and what the cigarettes do to patch it all up. So, my craving, which is funny because we all talk about cravings for cigarettes, my craving is projects. My craving is creating ways of helping people. My craving is creativity. My craving is connection to my grandchildren right now. I have fabulous grandchildren, and I'm just like really enjoying it. My craving is peace. Sitting with the dogs. My craving is getting on a yoga mat and stretching, or going to my taekwondo class and being yelled at by my 81-year-old Korean grandmaster. I mean, he is fabulous. Um, so these are, get in touch with your cravings, get in touch with the part of you that you're craving. And if you lost somebody recently and you're grieving that person, remember, what are you really grieving? You're grieving the experiences you had together. Maybe the experiences were humorous, or maybe the experiences were sexual, or maybe the experiences were enjoying something together, or um, anything. So those are the reminders of what you crave. Okay? It's not that that person has the exclusive on those experiences and feelings and cravings. It's that they evoked in you feelings that were positive. I'm sure also negative, or else you'd still be together. But if you're grieving a relationship and they've left, it's sort of like you think that they've left your whole sexuality, have taken it, or they've taken your humor, or they've taken your um, desire for connection. No, you have that. That's yours, okay? And if that person doesn't want to play, there are other people on the planet that want to play. And that's when you start exploring new friendships and new relationships, and you just have to make sure you're bringing something to the party and that they're bringing something to the party, and it's not so imbalanced that one is going to be codependent on the other, or not so narcissistic that one is going to suck the living daylights out of the other, or not so weak that there's nothing really to share in that relationship. Okay, so balance. Okay, and you want to be part of that balance by um, nutrifying yourself, mind, body, soul. I hope that answers some of that question.
We'll find out. Hopefully, if you have more questions, you can call in 323-524-2599. This question is coming from, it sounds like a new listener, said they just found the channel. I find this also hard to do. Dr. Judy, I find journaling really hard in my healing process. Are there any super simple ways that could help me reconnect with the part of myself I'm missing?
Okay, well, you and I have something in common. I'm not a great journaler. You know how some people just say get a journal and journal. I don't really
So
have
don't force it.
discipline. Don't force it. You don't have to journal. Maybe your journal could just be like one sheet of paper and you jot stuff down or draw a little image on it. Something super simple. But what's the question of reconnecting back
Well, it
within?
says to start help me reconnect with the part of myself I'm missing.
Okay, so maybe you could put in the chat room or could you call in? I'd love to talk to you. What parts are you missing?
That's probably a good question to ask.
Yeah, I'm asking you to call in.
Let me
We could talk about
type
what
that in.
parts are missing. I mean, we all feel that there's something missing, or else we wouldn't wake up in the morning, missing some food, we're missing some money, we're
Right.
missing a hug, we're missing. So, missing is motivational, right? But we don't want to be so far into the whole of our soul that we're going to be tempted to fill it instead of fulfill it, okay? So, the first thing I would say is look for fulfillment rather than fulfillment. Okay? Can I get fulfilled on a slice of pizza? Probably not, but I can get fulfillment. I'll get full on a slice of pizza. Can I get fulfilled on a nice piece of fish with steamed vegetables? Yeah, I'll probably get more fulfilled by that because it's got the protein and the vitamins and the minerals and the organic good stuff. And I like to eat wild caught fish, so I'm very careful about all that. And if you can afford it, do it. If you can't afford it, then maybe lean more into um, organic anything if you can. Um, but fulfillment is more important than filament. I don't drink at all. It's like zero alcohol.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm just not interested. I don't really like to get buzzed at all. So I'd rather just stare out the window at my trees. That's much more fulfilling to me. It's more peaceful for me. Just relaxing with my dogs. I'm a big dog person. I love my shepherd and my golden, and I get a lot of peace from them. That's fulfilling. Playing with my granddaughter now, we draw together. So when I come over, she's so excited. I'm like thrilled. Grandma Judy, drawing, painting, water, because she likes to dip it in water. So I taught her how to take the brush and just like tap it in the color. And now she goes tap, 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 tap,
Oh, that's
tapping it
cute.
and painting. We're painting the sky, we're painting the trees. So I get a lot of fulfillment out of that because I'm totally into her. She's totally into me and the creativity. So I want you to look for that. What's fulfilling to you? Who's fulfilling to you? What kind of food is fulfilling to you? What kind of philosophies? I like to listen to great people like Jordan Peterson and Douglas Murray and just smart people online. It's very fulfilling to me to learn from brilliant minds. So that's fulfilling. Fulfilling. Do I like to watch Netflix once in a while? Sure, but it's not necessary fulfilling. It might be filling. It might be entertainment, but I soon find myself getting a headache and, I don't know, just not the same. So everything has different energy packets. So, as I was saying, eating spinach is going to have a different energy than eating a donut. Okay, one is filling, the other is fulfilling. And my gas tank works on fulfilling. That's where I program. You have a car, right? You go to the gas pump and it says, what kind of gas do you want? Like, what is it? 90 whatever octanes and uh, like low, medium, high
Mm-hmm.
octane. I want the high octane. So that's how I would build myself up. Put the high octane into your tank.
I This is actually a really good question because I think when I was younger and sometimes even now, I feel like I'm pretty solid in my own life, and I'm more fulfilled and have a good relationship and all this stuff. But I remember asking this question: is like, what does being whole again even feel like? Um, that I feel is a really good question. I'm sure many people ask that. How do they even know when feeling whole again, or even maybe they never did? How does one get to that even 90%?
I mean, that would be great. If I could feel whole 90% of the time, it would be incredible. And I think one of the things to wholeness is, as I said, taking in and then being a semi-permeable membrane, panel 5, knowing when to put the boundaries up and knowing when to let people in. So in a human cell, we've got what we call semi-permeable membranes, and the human cell will absorb the nutritional stuff and then keep out the poison. So if you want to feel whole, you want to ingest good stuff and then put boundaries up against toxicity, toxic people, toxic food, toxic ideas. Okay. And I want to get more into that. I'm kind of working my way back up to talking about Join the Human Race Healing Global Disconnect, which has been a project that I've had um, forever. Okay, I have a website called healingglobalDisconnect.com, and you should go on there. As a matter of fact, I have a book that I goes back a long way, you guys. All right, this is the beginning of the mind map. How do you like that? Okay, there's the inception of the mind map, and it was called, I don't know if you can read backwards, Join the Human Race, somewhere like
It's
that.
it's upside down, but we there you go. There you go.
Okay, join the human race, and I'll read you the first excerpt. If we really want to be whole, we have to build empathy. We have to feel for other people as well as ourselves. So here was the premise of Join the Human Race. So now we're going from fulfillment to fulfillment, and now I'm talking about my global intention, which is called a call for unity. As a human race, we have become fragmented into nations, religions, social classes, politics, and races. This fragmentation has resulted in clash and fallout in the form of human atrocities. Although we have been able to soar to unlimited heights in many areas of human endeavor, we have not accomplished the final and most important frontier: to come together as a united humanity. Through mass consciousness centered on unity and unconditional love, we can shift our paradigm of thinking from self centered to global and cause a reintegration of our humanity. And that is what I feel is my current mission on the planet. It's a big deal. I created in my mind a concept called Join the Human Race, and um, I changed it in there to say join the humane race, because we're all human, but we're not all humane. And so, in order to join, and I'm not talking about selling memberships, I'm talking about in your consciousness, you want to become a humane being, and a humane being doesn't associate with people who are inhumane. They just don't. Okay, and this is a very touchy subject, and I don't really know quite how to talk about it without being political and divisional and so on and so forth. Because my intention is not to be divisional. However, do you want to play with a psychopath? I don't. Do you want to create unity with inhumane beings who are um, hurting other human beings? I don't. Do you want to be with people who are unhealthy or have a philosophy of, of destruction and a philosophy of you know what I'm talking about. We can't pair with people unless they have an intention of a life force. Okay, so there are certain human beings on the planet who have a very strong death force. They want the death, the destruction. They want to take over the entire planet and possess the planet and annihilate. Okay, that's not who I want to associate with. Okay, so it's very important that we build a foundation of humans who are humane, that causally create a new way of being on the planet and a new way of seeing. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that are influencers or so on, and I'm having a problem with one of them right now, like a really big problem. Maybe I'll talk about it another time. But sometimes people use platforms um, to make a message, and even though they may have a meaningful message, um, it's not a good message. It's not a healthy message. So we have to discern the truth, and we have to be around people who are truth tellers. And I've identified Jordan Peterson, I know I'm giving him some PR, as a truth teller. I think he's an incredible man, kind-hearted. And also Douglas Murray, who's a journalist. He's a very intelligent and unbiased person. So I would check out people like that for truth telling. I know they're not the only ones, but be careful who you get your news from. Be careful who you get your philosophies from, and that's how you get to shape your mind. Is you follow the right leader. Remember when you were a little girl, follow the leader. Imagine if you followed a leader uh, that wanted river to the sea death. Okay, I happen to be Jewish, so imagine how I'm taking it. Oh, we just want all the Jews on the planet dead. Like, okay, all right, I think I've heard enough. So that's the kind of thing that we can't join the human race with. Okay, we need a humane race. We need people in our circle who are going to um, interconnect with us, and people who are going to have life force within them, and a desire for growth and a desire for life. So that's as far as I'm going to go today in my worldview. But I think for those of you who've known me for a long time, I think you know that I've been really strong about creating a connection within disconnection. And as I grow older, I know that I don't have much more time to make an impact on the world, and I certainly don't have the PR and the media behind me that some people do. But I think if I just like to keep it simple and say that the best thing that we could do is build ourselves with integrity, and then join with people who are in integrity. And then if you look at panel number 8, you can see that out of the synergy comes teamwork. And I only want to climb the ladder with people who are not going to throw me off of the ladder. I only want to be in an ocean full of clean and pure water, not in dirty, polluted water. I only want to climb a ladder that's solid in philosophy and health and integrity and yeah, in the right DNA is what I want to be climbing the ladder of. And then eventually that I know will lead to a world of unity, because whether we like it or not, we're interconnected. We shouldn't be too happy if something blows up over there, because we're going to be inhaling it as soon as the winds blow over here. So, it's not the best way, but I do know that, it's confusing, right? Because people want to put up boundaries, but we just need a better way. So if there are any brilliant people out there who have better ways, I'd like to hear from you. You can always connect with me. And I'm looking to deepen, um, join the human race, healing global disconnect. Any other questions in the chat room?
I think the questions are not there, but the people are enjoying it. So,
Thank you.
but
And
thank you
really
everybody
thank
for
you
tuning in.
for listening. I appreciate that. And I will be around in a couple weeks. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in, and feel free to get a download of Be the Cause Healing Human Disconnect. You can get a copy from Amazon. I also have 2 videos, Healing from Narcissistic Abuse, and also my original 9-panel mind map journey to healing. And there's a lot of material that I have created on the YouTube channel, Dr. Judy WTF. So tune in. Also, one other thing that has recently come about for me, 2 things. Number one, I was in a documentary called 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗧𝗏 Saved My Life, and the producer has the the movie out, I think, at different Metallica concerts, and I was in it. Fortunately, I got to be one of the psychologists commenting on human disconnect and Metallica and why they're so popular. And then lately, I have been invited to be a part of another documentary by producer Paul Hanna, who hopefully I'll be doing projects with. And this documentary is called Love Scripts. So Google it. I'm going to also promote them. I'm in it. And it's about choosing carefully who you're going to hook up with, okay? Whether it be a friend or a lover or anyone. So that's the boundaries thing. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful few weeks, and I'll see you back here. Good night.